I have 142 platinums on my PSN account, and as mentioned in an earlier video, I was all in on Clair Obscur Expedition 33 on day 1. And to my surprise, despite being the first release for Studio Sandfall Interactive, the game has received universal acclaim and has become the highest user scored game of all time on Metacritic. If you're unfamiliar, the premise is as follows. In this French-inspired fantasy world, a mysterious entity known as the Paintress writes a number on a monolith. Anyone who is older than that number has 1 year before being beautifully snapped out of existence. Nobody knows why she does this. And so volunteers from the city of Lumière, with only 1 year left to live, embark on a journey to defeat the Paintress so she may never paint again. To me, this premise is fucking awesome. And so, we start our journey. After analysing the trophy list with no official trophy guides available, the plan was to complete the story while carefully exploring every inch of the game, just in case there were any missable collectibles that would lock us out of the platy. And to be clear, there are in fact missables in this game that would necessitate an entire new playthrough. A lot of the trophies were tied to story progression and completing boss fights, and there were no difficulty related trophies, so I was going to play the entire thing on the recommended difficulty. The things that I had to keep an eye out for were collecting all music records for the Connoisseur trophy, finding all journals for the Follow the Trail trophy, and finding all of the Lost Gestrals for the Lost Gestrals trophy. The prologue opens with a nice shot of a flaccid Eiffel Tower and our main character Gustave staring at the monolith. After learning some basics in combat with our friend Maël, Gustave met up with his ex-girlfriend Sophie, who was about to be killed by the Paintress along with every other 33-year-old during an event they called the Gommage. We made our way to the harbour and popped our first trophy, time to spill some ink, for breaking an enemy which leaves them stunned. We did this when we battled the mime in the first area of the game. Finishing the fight also gave us Trophy 2, a peculiar encounter. We watched the cutscene at the harbour and witnessed Sophie along with all the other 33-year-olds turn to petals in the wind. Man, this story is already so sad. Yeah, I felt that one. So Gustave is part of Expedition 33, and I didn't know it at the time, but there was a really important item you needed to collect from an NPC in the harbour. This would be for a trophy later on. The item is called Old Key, and luckily I picked up that bad boy before heading off on the boat with the crew. Once we arrived at the continent, shit goes down. We see an old man with a cane, which made absolutely no sense as the Paintress should have killed him a long time ago.
You're old. Which expedition are you from? Fall back!
People were getting murked left and right by these gothic looking creatures. We got separated from the rest of the expedition and thus began Act 1. Things turned dark real fast. Gustave was surrounded by nothing but death. As he was about to take us to the game over screen, Lune arrived and stalled him long enough for an enemy to spawn in. We teamed up and learned some of Lune's magic abilities. Man, this battle music is so good. To be honest, all the music has been pretty good so far. It was clear to me that parrying enemy attacks was a fundamental part of Expedition 33. So what I did was use this rest point to respawn a nearby enemy to fight over and over to get a good feel of that parry window. And let me tell you, that shit is super tight. My timing was terrible. After about 7 or 8 retries, I probably pulled off maybe 3 successful parries, but we couldn't linger for too long. So we continued. We collected our first journal after climbing a wall and meeting a fallen Nevron. Nevrons are hostile monsters that exist on the continent, but this one was different and is one of 10 Nevrons we had to complete a side task for the Aiding the Enemy trophy. Trophy 4 Overcharge was for breaking an enemy using a fully charged overcharge. Gustave has this special ability where he builds up charge for his prosthetic arm and can unleash a devastating electrical attack.
For those who come after.
Flares!
Survivors.
Hurry!
Okay, but first let's see what's down this path. Om nom nom. Priorities. Gotta grab my loot. Oh, they're just bodying characters in this story. So the combat in this game is a perfect blend of turn-based combat with active time-based mechanics. So hitting the right buttons at the right time can increase damage or ability potential, and parrying enemy attacks can lead to an awesome counter-attack, which I initially really sucked at. Yes, that was anime as fuck. Oh, they did the no look thing. So cool. We got to the location where the flares had come from and read a message telling us where to find Maëlle. Gustave wanted to rush off and find them when Lune resisted, saying that it seemed fishy and goes against protocol. But Gustave pulled a dick move and had it his way, which ended this section of Spring Meadows. This is where the game introduced us to a gorgeous world map where we can travel in between hub areas. We entered a cool water-themed biome called Flying Waters, where we popped our next trophy. All we had to do was unlock some rare loot by finding and shooting 3 hidden locks in the area. We found Maëlle in a place called the Manor, and I should mention that Maëlle in this game is only 16 years old. So she did have many years left to live, but felt strongly about joining this expedition. We also met the curator.
He doesn't really talk.
Yeah, nah, no wonder. Seems like a nice guy.
Quite different from the Nephrons.
I like that. We then met our first Gestral. His name was Monoco, and there are 2 trophies related to these guys.
Is that a Gestral?
What's that? It's a trophy for that, I think. Win all of the Gestral games and find all of the lost Gestrals. The trophy synergy was an easy accidental pop. In short, we buffed up one of Maëlle's attacks against a weakened enemy. And it was here that I was starting to get a good feel for parrying in this game. The feedback you get from the crispy sound effects, camera zoom and slow motion when you pull it off, in my opinion, is unmatched. My god, that's satisfying. Oh, big boy. Got blue. Oh, fucking thought I had that. Ooh, perfect flow. Consumed stains 4 turns in a row. Learning Go Blue's attack animations was pretty easy, so I decided to reload the checkpoint and beat him without taking any damage, and that gave us the professional bronze trophy. And that brought us to the end of the Flying Waters level. What was that about? It's like a premonition or something. So our boy the curator decided to bunk with us, which I was cool with, and he helped us upgrade our weapons, which gave us the weapon upgrade trophy. And trophy 12 came shortly after for consuming a Lumina point. Essentially, these points can be distributed across your party and can be spent to activate important perks in battle. And then we got the Curious trophy for checking up on the gang at the camp. The next section we passed through was called Ancient Sanctuary. This is where Monoco sent us in order to reach the Gestral Village. These dudes were obsessed with fighting and building mech-like suits. They're quite cute and charming and serve the narrative by injecting some much needed levity in this otherwise bleak and depressing world. Once we made it to the Gestral Village, we met with the chief, Golgra. She told us that in order to get to the Paintress, we would need the help of someone called Esquie. Lune knew this name, but up until now only thought it was a creature of legend. But in order to get to Esquie, we would first need to offer a password. A password Golgra would tell us, but only if we could prove we were strong enough to handle Esquie. So we entered the combat arena and smashed the tawny, no sweat. And it turned out the mystery fighter we were told about was CL, another member from the expedition. She joined the party and had unique yet complicated combat mechanics. At this point, we were unstoppable. So we challenged Golgra to a duel and she totally rinsed us. So we left the area with our tail between our legs and set up camp once again. Once we hit the sack, we got this really interesting cutscene. Maëlle has another nightmare.
White hair. Who are you?
Alicia, I told you to stay home. It's not good for you to see this.
What the frick is happening?
Yes, I understand. It's her fault, and she doesn't even know it. But you can't be here.
I saw him. The white-haired man and this woman.
So obviously there's something up with Maëlle. I bet it's going to be one of those, the bad guy is actually the good guy kind of deal. So the chief told us the password to enter Esquie's nest, and it's...
Get out of my way!
Jeez.
We met Esquie, who turns out to be a silly, obese balloon man. He needed us to retrieve Flurry, a rock, and somehow this would allow him to carry us to our next destination. So we head on over next door to take on his arch nemesis and pick up that rock.
He's just a talking rock.
I am not a rock. Do you have rocks for eyes?
Alright, got that rock for you. Let's see what happens now.
That's not Flory.
So it turns out we didn't get the right rock, and now we're off to the Stonewave Cliffs. Getting this far earned us 2 trophies. Legend for unlocking Esquie, and Esquie's Nest for completing the area. And while I was already hooked on this game, it was at this exact point that I remember truly falling in love with it, and seeing Clair Obscur as a really special game. Dude, the music in this game is so good. Like, some of the battle music just hits so hard, and it seems like there's like a different battle theme for each area. But yeah, even this exploration in this cavern, yeah, just really chill vibes. I'm loving it. Oh, yes! Oh, it feels so good. Another nightmare. She has to be the key to all of this, I reckon. Her parents, maybe? She throws like a girl, man. CL proved to be powerful, and by maxing out her unique currency in battle called Foretell, we were able to prop trophy 18, maximization. Yep. Oh, way too early. God, I sound like my wife. This is a long ass fight. Here we go. Twilight. 7 minutes and 55 seconds. That was a pretty damn long fight. Now, if there's one main criticism I have for Expedition 33, it would have to be its lack of a minimap. Like, I can appreciate really good map design. Like, obviously you have to be very talented to make maps like this that have so many different branching paths. But without a minimap or anything like that, it is very confusing for people like me. And what I mean by people like me is dumb people. I'm sure I missed a whole lot of shit back there, but whatever, we're just gonna press on. I was told that there would be a boss here. Something scary, something creepy. You look like you fit the description. This is like a Miyazaki wet dream come to life. We defeated the Lampmaster, and then we entered a cutscene where shit was about to pop off.
Wanna throw one more rock?
Well, you know, like I always say.
Bro, you better get out of there.
It's more about.
Oh shit! I was just about to say, imagine if they killed him.
Run.
They can't do that. Jesus. I just don't believe they'll kill him off right now. You're building up the character, it's an RPG.
Please run.
Maybe at the end of the game, but this is way too soon. Fuck.
For those who come after.
Bro. That's so crazy. What the fuck?
I did try to warn you.
You've lived more than a lifetime.
Ben Starr?
It's time to let her go.
Man, I just got chills. What a game. With Verso as our new main man, we could now build relationships with our teammates, and there were trophies tied to maxing out our relationships with each of the party members. The next area was called Forgotten Battlefield, and there were mountains of dead bodies. Fuck, that's a lot of people, man. There's only been 60, 70 expeditions. We then learned another counter ability. This one was called Gradient Counter. Man, those effects are cool. When it does that sort of reverse black hole thing. The sound design, like just S tier in this game. As we walked over a bridge, Mael began to start losing it again. She's starting to crack.
And you. Gustav's dead.
Well, to be fair, if you weren't in the mood to throw rocks, maybe he'd still be alive. We fought off an insane sword-wielding boss and finished him off with a hype Marvel-style team-up. Verso took us to a nice place to have a little ceremony for Gustav.
In the next life.
And then we were off to Monoco station to recruit an old friend of his. On the way, we played a short minigame with a Nevron where we had to perform a series of parries as Verso. Verso's unique combat mechanic is a ranking system that determines his damage output, from rank D all the way to rank S. By parrying the Nevron's attacks, it got us up to rank S for the first time, which gave us the Perfection Trophy. Upon arriving at the station, we met the final party member, a talking Gestral named Monoco.
No distraction, son. I'm really busy beating up strangers.
And with him on our side, that made up what remained of Expedition 33.
What are you doing?
Just need the foot. Aha!
What the fuck?
He transforms by collecting.
Oh my
nevrons.
god.
Don't ask me how it works. I've never understood.
That was the most random thing.
I will never join you again.
There will be a lot of fighting, though.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's true.
There will be a lot of fighting.
Exactly.
Count me in then.
Good.
After a brief tutorial on how to play Monoco, we were done with this area. And after a little accident from a clumsy Monoco, the group gets split up. Lune finds a journal from Expedition 58 that revealed something about Verso that caused her great concern.
We need to go. Now.
Verso would never harm her.
We trekked our way through Old Lumière and arrived at the manor, where Renoir met us and Lune confronted Verso.
Planning on sharing that this man, the man who murdered our team, is your father.
We fought a long battle, and Renoir had quite the complicated moveset. 1, 2, 3... That is so hard. That's so hard! What I think is awesome about Clair Obscur is how easily you can lose a fight on the first attempt, only to come back and completely mop the floor with him on the next try. Oh, you were so done. That is a lot of freaking damage, man. Oh, fucked it up! Please kill him. Woo! Sore loser, bro. Oh, not the little guy. So with the mana containing the Paintress's heart vanishing into thin air, we now set our sights on defeating two massive enemies known as Axons. This was to collect their hearts, which contain enormous amounts of chroma. Chroma, I believe, is like the life energy inside every living being. And with this chroma, the curator at camp would be able to forge us a weapon strong enough to pierce the protective barrier around the Paintress. The first Axon lived on an island called Visages. The next trophy was called Wheel Control. Monoco has a wheel that spins around between turns. Performing a skill that belonged to the corresponding category shown on the wheel increases that skill's power. So we got that trophy for hitting 4 upgraded skills in a row. Before we could take down the Axon, we first had to fight 3 of these creepy giant masks. And in the process, we unlocked trophy 26 Expeditioner for reaching level 33. We defeated the first Axon, and Seal said something that I didn't fully understand.
This mask can't hurt me because it is me.
But that was the first Axon down. The second Axon was a singer. Her name was Cyrene, and past expeditions failed due to her ability to hypnotize anyone in her vicinity.
Everyone's been swept up in strange emotions. Maybe we'll just stay here and enjoy the melody.
Lune was so entranced with her that she was even inspired to copy her hairstyle. The party saw visions of their loved ones, but we saw that her powers weren't working on Verso. It was a pretty tough fight, but we defeated the second Axon, and the curator gifted Mael an insanely strong weapon called the Barrier Breaker. Turned out that Verso kept a secret stash of wine inside Esquie. Pretty gross if you ask me, but the team seemed unfazed and they celebrated their recent victory. Esquie floated us to the barrier and we broke that shit wide open. We're gonna get out there and find out she's doing this against her will or something, aren't we? But when we got to the Paintress, our attacks did nothing, and the girls had their faces catch fire in a horrific dreamlike sequence. A white-haired woman then opened a portal, and we followed her through. We worked our way through a snowy area that appeared to contain the Paintress's memories, and found ourselves at a train station, platform 9 3/4, which took us to our next big battle against Renoir, who said he was doing his best to protect his family. This was a really tough fight. After about 5 attempts, it all came down to this last combo. Parrying every hit would enable a counter attack which would finish off Daddy, but failing a single parry would mean certain death. Holy smokes, that was so close.
Drunk on your own illusions to understand.
Then let us celebrate the second destruction of the Descendre family.
No way, we're going again? we were not going again. This was when the curator stepped in and helped Maëlle gommage Renoir. Much of what was said did not make sense to me at this point, but the path forward was now clear, and after about 30 or so hours of playtime, we finally got to confront the white-haired woman behind the Paintress. Maëlle reminded her of her daughter Alicia, who she lost, and the white-haired woman who was mentally unstable and wanted to maintain control over the canvas went on the offensive. Everything had led to this moment. We were reaching the climactic moment of the story, and we prepared ourselves for a monumental battle. Leading the fray was Monoco, who opened the fight with,
What lovely feet.
I don't know if that was supposed to be shit talk, but I guess my dude is a bit of a freak, and he ain't hiding it. It was yet another hard-fought battle. We got through by the skin of our teeth, but of course, wouldn't you know it, there was a second phase, and we were destroyed immediately. So we did a bit of grinding to get to level 50, organised our loadouts, and battled her again for an easy W. Didn't even bother learning her moveset. We just dodged everything she threw our way. During her last moments, she was applying heals to our squad before we wiped her out. Expedition 33 was successful, and the number on the Monolith vanished. Upon arriving back to Lumière, we received a warm welcome, but things didn't stay happy for long. Verso read a letter from Alicia, the girl with the mask who'd been randomly popping up throughout the story, and this is where the biggest reveal of the game comes in.
Maëlle, it's a strange feeling watching you with my brother, laughing and smiling, without the scars or the memories that afflict me. Alicia, as she was meant to be, not this painted version that I am. My family, a facsimile of yours, and this world, a mirror, painted by your mother, the Paintress, to stave off her grief. Seeing your expedition through would plunge us all into the abyss. For in ridding the world of the Paintress, you'd lose the sole force standing against the one who would erase us, the one who invokes the flowers of the gommage. An act of love, for he does love her. Your father. On her monolith, she paints a warning for us all, of the few she can save as her power wanes. Your mother paints life, whilst your father, death.
That's so fucked. Bro. The game took us back in time. Now we took control of Alicia and found ourselves in the manor. We met a different version of Noko and Monoco, who were actually dogs, and entered a new room in the manor. This is where we met Sister Clair and found their parents frozen in front of a large swirling canvas. To recap, the parents are Renoir and Aline, with children Verso, Clair, and Alicia. We get some more information through dialogue, and it turns out that the Desandra family are painters, with a magical ability to create new worlds through their painting. Lumière and its citizens, the continent, the Gestrals, all of it has been made up, and the painters are involved in an ongoing war against a side called the Riders. We learned that Alicia did something foolish with the Riders. This resulted in Verso saving her from a fire in the manor, and this is what caused the scars on Alicia's face, and ultimately cost Verso his life. The Verso we had been playing all this time was a fake painted version made from Aline's memories. Aline, who was overcome with grief, wished to stay within the canvas, Verso's last canvas, which held the last remaining part of his soul. Renoir, who didn't want to lose his wife, wished to expel her from the canvas, and since Aline controlled the chroma, she controlled the canvas. But over time her strength weakened. Clair, who was the most powerful painter in the family, told us that she couldn't take chroma off Aline, but she was able to prevent it from returning to her when people died. As Alicia said in her letter, the number written on the monolith was in fact a warning to the people of Lumière. Her power was weakening, which allowed Renoir to erase her oldest creations, the oldest people, the only exception being her fake family, who were immortal. Yes, it's a lot to take in, and it took me a while to fully grasp what the heck was actually happening. So Clair sent Alicia back into the canvas to help out Renoir, the real Renoir, not the painted one we've been fighting all this time. As Alicia entered the canvas, Aline quickly took control and painted over her. She was now reborn in Lumière as Maëlle, and consequently lost all of her memories. Skipping back to the present time, the gommage that just erased everyone also erased the repainted part of Alicia. So what remained now was painted Verso and Alicia with all of her memories back.
Actually, I prefer Maëlle.
So the curator, who was actually the real Renoir, actually wanted the canvas destroyed to stop Aline from ever finding it again. But Alicia wished to keep the last remaining piece of her brother alive, plus she felt that the real world had nothing for her.
I'm not going to lose myself if I stay.
I know full well you will, and I am not doing this again!
No!
Back in the safety of our camp, Maëlle manages to use the chroma stolen from Renoir to bring back her friends Lune and Ciel. Maëlle says she can bring back everyone that was lost, but she would need a lot of chroma in order to do so.
Time for the greatest expedition in history.
We were then treated to a nice little montage where the team travelled around the continent, siphoning chroma from all of the dead expeditioners killed by Nevrons.
Clair Obscur, ton bleu de rature coulera et fait. Clair Obscur, navigons pas, tu trouveras sans elle.
It was at this point that I decided to put the main story on hold. I felt like we were approaching the end, so I took this opportunity to clean up some side activities and work towards the other trophies. We stumbled across a Nevron in the floating cemetery. He asked us to choose between 3 weapons and then met us inside a ruined building. After beating him in a fight, he told us that he did not enjoy fighting like his brethren and wanted us to end his life. So we obliged, and in return he gave us some awesome stat boost items. During the campfire sections, you get to talk to your party members to learn more about them. Each conversation levels up the relationship with that character, and getting to level 7 with each of the characters earns you a trophy. The first one we popped was with Monoco, where we went to a stream and brought back Noco, the Gestral who died much earlier in the game. And then we managed to find all 9 of those lost Gestrals around the continent. The Gestrals were also fond of these mini-games and platforming challenges. I can't lie, they were pretty mid, but completing all of them got us trophy 34. With our relationship with Monoco maxed out, it unlocked a level 3 gradient attack. These are like limit breaks or ultimate attacks, and using one unlocked the Chroma Proficiency Trophy. So working on building up Maëlle's relationship to level 7 actually involved a side quest where we fought a third Axon. This one turned out to be Painted Alicia. Call me a dick for using fire against a burn victim, but try not to take this personally. What the hell? They did not make that her weakness. That's crazy. We ended up erasing Painted Alicia and wrote a new message on the Monolith. Then we got Esquie's final ability, which unlocked at relationship level 6, and that popped trophy 37. And having the final conversation with Esquie gave us his trophy. Lune was next. Her parents were part of a failed expedition, and we discovered a journal from someone on that team.
She fought off that blasted Nevron for 4 days and 4 nights. Her daughter Lune will finish their work.
And after a small fling with my boy Verso, expedition, more like sexpedition, Ciel reveals her darkest secret about losing her baby when she tried to kill herself. We then took on this asshole splashing around in the water. His name was Sprong. And shortly later we got trophy 42 Trailbreaker for reaching level 66. After plenty of exploration and some grinding, some of the super bosses were still way too strong. So we decided to push on with the story. We re-entered Lumière, and our army got to work clearing a path through the Nevrons. There's a big man. After one last failed attempt at persuading one another, the music hit and Renoir took the form of the curator. And after all the training we did, we were able to take him down in only 2 attacks. The Paintress, Aline, who we banished earlier, made a cameo after the first round, and took out the Axon Renoir had on his side. We took him down in round 2, and Renoir, in a last-ditch effort to convince Maëlle, opens a portal to show everyone just how affected Aline is by the loss of her son. Maëlle promised she wouldn't stay in the canvas forever, and while it looked like Renoir did not believe what she said, leaves the canvas anyway. Now this whole time Verso seemed to be affected by Renoir's words, as well as the sight of Aline's suffering, so he enters the portal. But when he walks in, he finds a very tired boy, Verso's soul, painting on the canvas. Verso reaches out a hand as permission for the boy to stop painting, but Mael puts a stop to it. And here we got to choose which ending we wanted to go for. I think I'm in the minority here, but I chose Verso's ending, because ultimately the people of Lumière are not real. I thought it was best for the family to deal with grief in the real world, and for Verso's soul to finally rest. Either way, I don't think there's a right or wrong decision. After defeating Mael, we receive the last of the 33 music records for the Connoisseur Trophy. And then she gets gommaged, which tells me they were hanging out in some sort of dimension in between the canvas and reality. I don't really have an answer, but the entire expedition gets wiped as a result of siding with Verso. In the epilogue, we see the Desandre family in the real world now paying their respects to Verso at his grave, and that's where we rolled creds. After that, we went to a location called Endless Tower. Here you take part in a total of 33 tough battles for the Endless Silver Trophy. Monoco didn't have a traditional skill tree. Instead, he has this thing where he collects the feet of his foes to learn their techniques. The last foot Monoco needed was from the Lampmaster boss. And here is a trophy update. Only 10 trophies remain before the platinum. So at the time, we were able to take advantage of a completely busted Mael build that focused on the Stendhal attack. Applying the right Pictos and dropping her HP allowed us to pretty much one-shot every boss in the game, and we managed to complete the Endless Tower with relative ease. Unfortunately, this attack has had a 40% nerf since the latest patch. The resources we received from the Endless Tower allowed us to fully upgrade a weapon to level 33. Trophy 48 was for bringing down this gigantic son of a bitch, and Trophy 49 was for chasing this slippery bastard into a corner and killing him. We then completed the final Nevron quest and fought Painted Clair, a super boss that took some time getting to. So this version of Clair spends her day painting Nevrons into existence, and this is what the real Clair meant when she said she couldn't take Chroma from the Paintress, but she could prevent it from returning to her. And the final super boss guarding a trophy from us was Simon. This dude was tough as balls, and we were dealing 7 million damage at times. You only ever meet Simon this one time, but he has a whole backstory that is quite interesting. Apparently he was part of Expedition Zero. He was friends with Verso, romantic with Painted Clair, and was strong enough to kill an Axon single-handedly. But somewhere along the way he gets fucked over by real Clair and real Aline, and was trapped in limbo while his mind deteriorated ever since.
My mind is breaking. My final thoughts are only a few.
Our next trophy had us platforming over broken picture frames in 3 locations to bring colour back to the painting workshop. Doing this earned us a trophy and a family portrait. Restoring the portrait to the manor opened a new door and the last journal we needed.
Little one, there's more to life. If you can just see how big the sky truly is. Reach out your hand, and it's yours.
And then all that remained was grinding up to level 99. Luckily there was a great spot where we could repeatedly fight a high level Gestral merchant for 2 million XP every 30 seconds or so. It took us less than an hour to get the 8 or 9 level ups we needed, and yeah man, what a journey. It's still fresh now, but I really do believe that Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is one of the greatest games I've ever played. The gameplay, the story, the music, they hit everything. I'm glad I got the platinum, and if there weren't so many other awesome games to be playing, I would totally be all up in that New Game Plus. Overall, I think the trophy list was good. I would have appreciated proper manual save slots, and as I mentioned at the start of the video, we needed an old key at the very start of the game in order to collect a journal towards the end of the game. Having that missable item is definitely going to upset some people, because it means you will have to collect every single journal in a brand new save. Let me know if you plan on getting the Expedition 33 Platinum. We're almost at 1,000 subs, so if you like this video, chuck us a like, that would be awesome. But thanks for watching, happy hunting, and GG.